1987. I moved abroad and then spent a lot of time in the US and then moved back to my native town, which is a small town near Madurai. And I spent a lot of time talking to Professor Ramesh about how we can upskill people, how we can get people from all over the country to get into this innovation system, into this innovation cycle. And we started talking about this about 4 or 5 months ago, and then a lot of things have come about with this conversation. And I think this is the first thing which really shines, because Professor has come up with this beautiful idea of giving students internships, and not just plain internships, but paid internships. And to me, when, being from this small town in Madurai, when I joined IIT, nobody in my family had an engineering degree. So I was of the opinion that, electrical engineers fix electrical wires, mechanical engineers fix cars. And I was a little, I felt a little different when, a lot of the work that we did were bound to be books and other things like that. And I think this great opportunity, which we didn't have when we were students 30 years ago, is wonderful for students, because you get hands-on experience dealing with experienced mentors, experienced academicians, building products. And I think this hands-on activity is like a key thing which is a key to building the innovation economy. So I'm so grateful to Professor Ramesh Babu and IIT Madras, Professor Bhaskar Ramamurthi, for supporting all the efforts. And I also would like to thank the other people, Navina Swami and K. Subbu, who've been instrumental in kind of being behind the scenes support for getting this whole thing done. Without much ado, I'd like to ask Professor Ramesh Babu to talk more about the internship program. And after that, we'll move on to Professor Bhaskar Ramamurthi. Go ahead.
Yeah. So again, I just wanted to make a short presentation of about 20 to 25 minutes to give a background for the entire program, which we have initiated only in the month of June, when the Secretary of Heavy Industries called me and asked me to engage more and more students in both internship as well as the project works. But then it was a real shock to me, because handling such large numbers is not an easy task. So then I have told the ministry that, sir, if we can pool all the platform developers and who are having a lot of activities in their organizations. So immediately he set up a meeting and then said the 4 platforms being developed by 4 organizations like CMTI, AMTDC in the manufacturing side, and RI and ICAT on the automotive technology and electric vehicles, mobility, etc. So with this background, we started interacting among ourselves and formulated a document and sent it to the ministry, and they have approved. And they said, you please organize this particular internship program under the platform which was already sanctioned by IIT Madras. And one of the things in this particular platform is basically to organize the internships and webinars, symposiums, and various other hackathons, etc. So I think that's where I think exactly 2 months ago, 16th June, was the first meeting which took place with the Secretary and there are other officials in the Ministry of Heavy Industry. So with this brief background, I would like to give what is the reason why he wanted us to do this one. Next, please. So I will cover this one to give some background and also emphasize the need to take up this program with all these platforms, so as to bring some technologies at the end of either internships or projects or even beyond that one. So that is the basic philosophy behind the organization of this program. Yeah, so I think next please. So I think I think this is in line with the new education policy, wherein the capabilities of engineering students has to be nurtured and strengthened in solving the practical problems through a structured training and skill development process that can actually promote the innovation. Though there are other skill development councils which are essentially focusing on the level 6 to level 10 in different ways, but then this particular program is structured in a way that we don't want to really train the students and then make them as skilled people. I also talked to the other officials in a few days ago, and then they said that the idea of setting up this particular program is to bring out the innovation into the manufacturing. So, and also if these ideas are worthwhile ideas, probably they can be translated into the prototypes and which can be funded by the government or many other investors who are willing to support such activities. I think we have several mentors who have agreed to take these things to the field, provided the know-how generated is sufficiently rich and capable of conversion or a translation from the prototype to this one. I think this will also create some sort of a ecosystem which can make the students to incubate and work on various startups, which will make the country more strong in the manufacturing sector. Next, please. So I think the reason why we have taken up at AMTDC is because we have started this a few years ago, about 5 years ago, and our mandate is not doing the basic research and lab prototype. We wanted to translate them into commercially viable technologies, and this has happened with the support of Professor Bhaskar Ramamurthi and many faculty colleagues who have come forward to support this initiative, and we have been very fortunate to build this with many researchers and engineers from both the industry and academia. And as a first step, 6 industries have contributed about 20% of the money to commit themselves, and 80% came from the government of India. That way, I think this is like a model which we have built in the last 5 years. Now, of course, we have also created several facilities for the engineers and others to work on different types of problems falling into the manufacturing into different domains. Next, please. So I think what we intend to do here is, apart from developing this model with a large number of people and then signing MOUs with many national as well as the international companies and organizations, and one of the mandates in the our AMTDC is also how do we develop skills for making the students to become incubators as well as the startups, etc. Under this, we also wanted to take up this particular work under the platforms. Next, please. So I think over these 5 years, we have started with the requirements and finally converted these requirements into 4 prototypes first. And these prototypes have been tested rigorously by a third party. And then we made these robots, and they are also being used by many industries in India at the moment for a range of applications. I think there are certain technologies which are completely denied, like hydrostatic systems and the thermal compensation strategy for making the machines into precision machines, and also the micro machining centers and precision grinding machines, which we are importing it heavily with a heavy cost. And by developing these things, we are now capable of putting them into the market and then checking their reliability in course of time. I think this is where the translation of prototypes into technologies has already taken place, and we are confident that if these interns and the students who are working in the projects for a longer period will be able to contribute. Next, please. So this platform was initiated during the pandemic by the secretary and others. I think initially we were hesitant to participate in this particular platform, but then with the support of our faculty colleagues from IIT Madras and also the TCS as the knowledge partner, we said that if you develop this platform which can connect various stakeholders from industry to academia and students to professors, etc. So this may really create an ecosystem to digitally look at the capabilities available at various locations. And that will also make the MNCs to come and then set up their own activities under different schemes. And even the MSMEs also will be able to enhance their capability set by way of interacting with our engineers and doing some projects. And eventually this can lower the imports and encourage the SMEs to move towards Industry 4.0, which is one of the key bottlenecks at the moment for many of them to move from Industry 3 to Industry 4. And I think this is the initiative of, again, DHI, and they have supported us. And under this particular internship program is also one of the activities. Next, please. So as I think many of you have registered, especially the students and mentors also, they have seen that the platform is still under development, but we have created an alpha version wherein some of the features are essentially towards getting the people connected or onboarding the people, and then for doing the collaborative R&D. And the skill development is one of the essential activities which is also mentioned as the feature of this kite platform. Next, please. So the internship program was thought out, as I have already mentioned, with the integration of various efforts and capabilities and technologies available at 4 different locations, and each one is also developing a platform. And we have already mentioned in the announcement and various communications that the focus areas fall into the manufacturing domain, wherein machine tool, mother technologies, and then digital and smart manufacturing. And then we also move on to the automotive and electric vehicles and mobility. Then the energy and textiles, agriculture and food processing also fall into the domain of the heavy industries. And of course, the smart manufacturing uses extensively the data analytics and IoT concepts. Next, please. So that's where we have invited the youngsters from various colleges all over the world, and we intend to do some sort of a collaborative R&D. To do the collaborative R&D, I think AMTDC alone is not capable enough to understand the problems of the various stakeholders. That's when we started interacting once the platform was sanctioned, and it was informal groups we have formed it, and every week we used to interact informally to see what we all can do it to the next generation. And that's where we thought that how do we pose these problems which are essentially important for the nation. And that's where you can see the challenges being ranging from the agriculture, food processing, even to the IoT and smart manufacturing, etc. So a list of challenges which were posed in this particular platform is basically from wide-ranging areas. And some of these projects we are taking it up at AMTDC, and they're also at very, very initial level. So we felt that by means of actually posing these problems and engaging these youngsters to address them, that would give us the confidence, and it will also make them more skillful, and then capable of solving the problems in the industry once they graduate from here. Next, please. So I think we have followed a process wherein we gave an announcement covering the areas. Of course, all the 4 units also have received the applications, and these applications were separated, and then we have sent the number of applications which are pertaining to the respective areas being handled by the other units. And then we also went through a preliminary testing through the platform which is already available with some of the industries here, and wherein the aptitude as well as the subject knowledge was tested. It may not be rigorous, but however, in order to handle a large numbers, about 2,000 applications, and we wanted to follow something. And then we also discussed with many of them to see the capabilities and commitment and attitude. I think we are taking up now with many experts who have this expertise. Next, please. So we also created a pool of experts, with voluntarily they have come forward. It's not that we forcibly asked anybody. I think since some of them have posed these problems and some are passionate to really help the next generation. And as you can see that this internship program is running from August to almost to end of July. in order to handle a large numbers. I think we plan to at least offer these internships together, about 1,200 internships, and IIT Madras AMTDC is taking up about 350, and CMTA about 300. Like that, we have come to about 1,200. And in this, out of 2,000 applications that we have received to AMTDC, we initially thought that we would start with fourth year and then second year PG, and those who have completed, they can also be supported for at least 6 months, and if they are reasonably good and capable of handling other projects, we can also engage them in other projects being addressed at the AMTDC, etc. So with this process, which I have explained it to you, that about 54 internships are given to the fourth year students, and they come from different branches and from different regions, and 22 projects, both PG and UG plus PG completed, totally about 76. And as you can see that we have received more than nearly 6,000 applications. And out of these 6,000, as you can see that we followed the process of asking them to choose some of these areas. Initially, we didn't ask them, but then later on they said that, okay, we can work on these problems broadly. But then we have fine-tuned it and then brought it down to 76. That is how you can see the various branches of students being engaged in these challenges, which I have already shown. Next, please. So I think if you just look at the institutions from which these students have been selected, of course, we have followed a process, because we first wanted to have certain numbers, and then we would like to offer this one again from November to January, and again February to April, and May to July. So we don't want to completely remove these students, but we'll also invite, send out the announcement again in the month of beginning of October, and that will also give an opportunity for those who are interested to come and then do their intern and project works. Of course, the project works are 6 months duration, so hence August to January, and then again February to July. And we would like to limit it to only 50-50, for the PG as well as the UG PG completed, etc. So this is just a sample of, that means the range of institutions on which we have chosen we have selected the students. Yeah, next. So I think, as I mentioned, with the support of many experts, who have contributed immensely to the science and technology in this country, and they have been very, very active and then helpful in attending these meetings every week. At the end of the day, from 8 o'clock or 8:30, we used to spend about 1.5 hours to 2 hours. I think all of them were fascinated by this entire the internship being funded by the Ministry of Heavy Industry, and we attempted to take people from various organizations, ranging from the ex-servicemen, and then even those who have worked in the R&D centers, and some of them are startups, and then some are having their own the accelerators. I'm going to introduce these mentors to the students in the next couple of days. I think we are also mapping the mentees to the mentors. And of course, with the consent of mentors, probably we may come up with some more problems also. Again, they have given some preferences to be available to do the mentorship. Of course, from outside, Dr. Subbu, who is also our advisor to AMTDC, also participated in weekly meetings, and he said that it's a very good initiative, and I would like to support this one. Next, please. So I think the main essence of this program is an opportunity to interact with several mentors. They have rich experience in the manufacturing sector, and they're also working in the defense labs and the nuclear sector and various other the R&D centers also. So if the students take part in taking their advice and engage in problem solving on day-to-day basis and in a rigorous way, I'm hopeful that they will be able to get a lot of benefits. I think we would like to make this process as a little more structured based on the guidelines of AICTE, and we didn't want to put that much, because here we would like them to contribute in terms of innovative ideas. We felt that for internships for 3 months, about 120 hours, and weekly about 8 to 10 hours, for which the students also have to take the advice and instructions from the mentors and also the organizers from the AMTDC to contribute in a way that they can really bring out some innovations and ideas. So we also plan that we'll have a meetings twice in a week during the weekdays at the end of the day or so, and then Saturdays. And we are also preparing some sort of a work log as well as their attendance. And we want all these students to attend these events, which we are planning it from time to time, to educate them on various technologies and also to make them more skilled, both soft skills as well as the practical skills in handling the problems. And I want all the students to follow this, because it's an opportunity which comes once in a blue moon. I think when the secretary wanted me to do that, really, I was amazed to look at the amount of effort and investment that goes into it. I think if we don't bring out anything at the end of this program, it's going to be a big, burden on the entire government also. This is where I sincerely request the students to be a little more passionate about this program and also contribute towards that. If you are not interested, I think you better decide early. We have chosen as the intents for this program. Next, please. Yeah, I think we also want some deliverables at the end. See, we all had deliberated and we felt that one is they need to produce a 2-minute video to showcase the novelty of the work done during the internship and project work. And as we normally follow some procedure to prepare a report, so that this report can be made available to the next set of internships also, so that the others can start from that point and then keep building it up, so that in course of time it is possible that these ideas can be translated into some prototypes. Though we wanted to do everything online, we are hopeful that some of these ideas can be implemented by our engineers at AMTDC, and for which we can also take the support of many other industries also to see that they would like to support them in some way. Okay. Next, please. Yeah, I think this is what I intend to convey to the students who have been selected for this. And now I request our director to give his presidential address, and then he's also quite passionate about these activities, and maybe Mr. Nanu can also introduce him.
Yeah. So I think it's very fortunate for us to have the Director of IIT Madras and the Chairman of AMTDC with us today. Especially for students, I don't think you'll get an opportunity to hear Professor Bhaskar Ramamurthi as often as everybody would like, because he's got so many different things that he's involved in, and we are very lucky to have him today. So I'd like to welcome Professor Bhaskar Ramamurthi and ask him to give us the presidential address.
Thank you, Mr. Nanu Swami. Thank you, Professor Ramesh Babu. My greetings to all the students who are assembled, and especially to all the mentors who have volunteered to be part of this exercise. AMTDC was set up to do R&D, to actually be a force multiplier for our machine tool industry, and then for Industry 4.0 and so on. But it's part of IIT, and one of our main charters is actually education, good old plain education. And while we have been pretty good at what I call the linear model, which is you take in a bunch of people, put them through the hoops, and produce good engineers, good researchers, good innovators. We've been experimenting in the last decade, actually. Started quite early because we knew it was going to be a great, longer learning experience on how to use the new tools that have become available, particularly online education, how to use it effectively. How do we do things, with the same high rigor and quality that we are used to at IIT? Do we do it only for theory? Can we do it for, other things? Can we do a hybrid model where required? How do we figure out all these things? And we are still in the process. We are still learning. It's very exciting. And this has become very important in the context of the new education policy. So the new education policy wants 50% gross enrollment ratio, wants upskilling, wants to make sure that in the next 15 years, our demographic dividend indeed becomes a dividend, and we train and educate, reskill as many people as possible. And so the linear model will simply not get us anywhere. So we're doing many things. Some of you might have heard about the online BSc program in programming and data science. We are working with startups on all kinds of emulators that will help us scale skill development in things as different as welding, painting, and so on, using a combination of emulators and real life, the good old methods of skilling. And we're also looking at a whole variety of things. In fact, it is in that larger picture that this effort also comes in. We want to see how we can really scale up as well as do rigorous, high-quality projects in manufacturing and in all kinds of new, technologies which are based on using sensors, using, the new tools of manufacturing. And how do we do that with students? How do we do that? How do we connect students to mentors who know a trick or two about these things? How do we provide the prototyping facilities, the manufacturing facilities, the lab facilities for this? And how do we do this without necessarily first assembling everybody at IIT Madras? So one thing is the pandemic has somehow forced us to open up our minds and be willing to try new things more, instead of coming up with a quick, it won't work. So that's played to our advantage. So what we're now seeing is these kinds of bold experiments. See, today we are, as you can see, we are all sitting at different places. Nanu Swami says he's sitting in some small town near Madurai, and I'm sure others are in all kinds of places. And AMTDC is all geared up, and students are from all over the country. And, it looks impossible, but we are looking to pull this off. Actually mentor these people. I see the program. It's very tight mentoring, bi-weekly reports, all kinds of things, and use videos, to communicate what you have done. And AMTDC is gearing up to even make prototypes. And with the new technologies that I work personally in cellular communications, and currently I'm working on a very large 5G effort in the country. And, with 5G is going to provide sub-millisecond reaction time kind of ability to do things remotely. So we just don't know what all we are going to be able to do, if not for real manufacturing, if not for real, commercial operations, at least in skilling and training. Who knows? We may be able to. Experts may be able to assist trainees remotely when they are working on machines or something. We just don't know. I think these are we have to learn, because we have to use all the tools we can lay our hands on to get this humongous task of training our youngsters and exposing them to, bringing them up to speed to the latest techniques and methods with rigor, with quality. So obviously we don't have the answers. We don't have the recipe all laid out for doing this. We're going to discover it as we go along, and we need all the minds, good minds that we can assemble. So I'm very glad to see so many of you. I saw a brief list showed me how much experience we are bringing to this exercise and how much passion we are bringing to this exercise. So I wish all of you, the students, must be very grateful for what's being attempted. They must put, as my colleague said, Ramesh Babu said, they must put all their heart and soul into this. MHI will want to show a new paradigm and successful. And I think all the mentors who are spending so much of their time and energy will want to find a pathway for scaling with quality and rigor, as I said. And we all want to make this a success. So I thank the mentors, I thank the students, I thank Ramesh Babu and AMTDC for putting the stretch goal in front of themselves. This was not one of the original charters of AMTDC, but things change as we go along. And MHI, which is the part of the government that has been supporting AMTDC quite a bit has asked us to do this. It makes sense to do this, and therefore we are giving it all we have got. Let's hope this succeeds. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Yeah.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you, Dr. Bhaskar Ramamurthy. You made us think about lots of new paradigms that can come in with this 5G, which is going to be like a real game changer. And it's hard to predict how life will be when we have 5G everywhere. It's an awesome thing that all of us should wonder. Thank you so much once again.
Well, to put it very simply, if a trainee is doing something wrong and you want to yell at him, no, not that way. You can do that once 5G is fully available and stop the person from doing something risky or dangerous. Okay.
Yeah.
And not have to wait for 2.5 seconds for the response to come. So I think really, we just have to keep our minds open on what's going to be possible.
So do you think, Bhaskar, 5G will be down to villages, or do you think we need some satellite towers?
No. Satellite won't help you in this. 5G will, actually we're not very far from getting it down to all the villages, because there has been it's not had the greatest of implementations, but there is there's funding, there's money, and there's a project to take optical fiber to all the panchayat villages, which is 250,000 of them. That's behind schedule, but it's more than half are done, and the other half will happen very soon. And the Prime Minister has already said that ultimately they want to take it to all villages. That's just the last, from the panchayat villages to the remaining 300, 400,000 villages is just short distances. So I think, and then towers, if you put up towers at the panchayat villages, I think that's enough to cover all the villages, even today. So I think it will happen. It just needs to be, part of the reason it's not happened as fast as it should is because ultimately, there is no buying power. The average revenue per user was still not high enough. But it's changed now. I think rural areas' economies, once you cross a certain tipping point, then it all happens very, very quickly. I don't think there's any technical limit. The short answer is, I think you'll see 5G. You'll see one moment cellular coverage becomes feasible economically, as a business, I think you'll see 5G. It's not that you'll get 2G or 3G or 4G, because there's no real cost difference between these things. So you'll get 5G.
So thank you so much, Dr. Bhaskar Ramamurthy, for this additional information, which is very beneficial for all of us thinking about the future.
You can go, yesterday I gave a lecture on our Siddhi series. It's on YouTube, on this whole what's happening in 5G in India and so on. And if you're interested, you can go take a look.
Sure, I'll pick up the link from you and share it with the group, because
there's a lot of stuff happening, which is also from an Indian standpoint. So, okay.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's excellent. Thank you so much for that information.
Thank you, sir. Yeah.
With that, let's go on to talk about a little bit of the mentorship program from a mentor's perspective. So I'd like to invite Mrs. Navina. She's an angel investor and a mentor, and she was one of the first people to take a startup from inception to the public markets in India. So she was one of the founders of Tejas Networks, and I'd like to invite her to address the audience.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nanu. So I'm just, I think I'm listening to, all the conversations, and I have a lot of smile. The reason is, it's very encouraging to see 5G come into the marketplace, and it brings me very fond memories. I just wanted to briefly touch upon my background. And this is from a mentor's perspective, this conversation to all the interns. Welcome to this amazing program pulled together by Professor Ramesh Babu, the blueprint for a new culture that we are going to create. I'm setting the expectation a little bit high, because one of the key things that we find between US and India is that we need to promote a DIY culture. What the DIY culture means is that since we are all online during this COVID crisis, and what you need to do to get these projects off the ground, get the prototypes, is to go into your local areas pick up a Raspberry Pi or an Arduino and try to, accomplish, much more than a paper project to something of a prototype, because I strongly believe that, ideation can turn to prototypes, to products, and create a global economy. So a brief background about myself is I started my journey from IIT Madras and joined IBM. I have dabbled with risk processor design, designing communication systems, but more important, creating a new products in the simulation for electronic design automation industry at Cadence Design Systems. And it so happened that I was fortunate to have a good mentor, and that's the reason why this is my one-on-one conversation to all the interns, that a small conversation at Sycamore Networks, where my mentor, Dr. Gururaj Deshpande, I was just lamenting the fact that I have found this wonderful customer, but they believe that we cannot service their products in India. And he said, why don't you go do it? So he gave me the go ahead. It was a napkin conversation. And the napkin conversation was just go and do something so that we can service our equipment in India, because we were creating the first infrastructure for optical communication networks worldwide. I worked with all the major carriers in the US and Europe, and implemented the first all-European optical network in downtown Paris. So I came, as a single woman, be bold, arrived at Bombay, and this interesting conversation, a day-long conversation with Mukesh Ambani, where I was pitching my products from Sycamore, but he said, Navina, we're not going to buy your products because you can never service the equipment that we purchase. And that's what triggered the reason to come into Bangalore and start this startup, where I had to pitch to the founders without, they had been in different enterprises, but gave them the know-how of Sycamore Networks, gave them funding, service revenues, and today they are now part of Tata and Sons. So I'm very happy to share that napkin ideas, conversations with mentors can really turn, ideas to public enterprises that are creating careers for a large number of people, and also creating an economy, an innovation economy. One of the things that I have been doing since exiting from Sycamore was to work in a lot of startups and fund some of the entities that I am interested in, and that gives me a good way to mentor the startup teams and help them to grow beyond just a prototype ideas to all the way to take the companies public. So that's my background. I've written some books because of my interest in games and my experience in simulation, to author a couple of books on game design. So I was trying to say that how can I get this, the interns, mentor the interns, and also the, very excited to meet all the other mentors and mentees here, is I was looking at this table of all the IoT companies globally. And what I felt was that this was a $1 trillion economy. And the base foundation is now AI. And with Dr. Bhaskar Ramamurthi's prediction that 5G is going to be everywhere, with the ubiquitous presence of the internet and the Internet of Things, we now have the power, and with the AMTDC fantastic team that Dr. Ramesh Babu has nurtured, that if you have ideas and you design concepts into products, the skill set of the AMTDC team to scale them up, make the machines that make machines, all these are not a dream, it's a reality. So I just want all the mentors to think of your ideas, your concepts that you're working with your mentor, as to how they actually become projects, products, and drive the economy, the innovation economy. So coming to the internship opportunities, right? I mean, this is you know, I'm available. Our email IDs will be available to you. You can always call up and ask for a lot of things. First of all, I want to say that it's going to be a fun, enriched, rewarding experience, because if you're not having fun working on a project that you're passionate about, then you have to pivot to something else. And the blueprint that Professor Ramesh Babu and his excellent team have done is to create opportunities in this COVID time to be able to do it online, and as well as fund the internship. So it actually gives you some peace of mind to work with passion on your product ideas, gain exposure to the industry, because we have some excellent mentors that we are going to create this collaborative environment where your ideas, your concepts, and your passion can potentially see the possibility of new startups, so that we can create an innovation economy. The innovation economy is key to change the lives of people, because this will give us opportunities to think of not only creating a sustainable planet, but also interplanetary travel, thanks to the the startups that are working in this sphere of influence. So we are here from a mentor's perspective. I believe this is a wonderful program. I'm happy to be play a small part in this program, which is going to be the blueprint for future internship programs, because it's going to create an opportunity for the interns to tune your careers, collaborate with other interns, with faculty, and with the support of DHI, receive the mentoring that you need to build this wonderful Indian economy and deliver products to the global marketplace, and you will be the forebearers of $1 trillion economy. Thank you for giving me these opportunities to present my views, because I was, this is the favorite, poem of mine by Dr. Rabindranath Tagore, which says, "Where the mind is, without fear, the head is held high." So what Professor Ramesh Babu has done is an incredible opportunity, a friendly atmosphere to enable collaboration and to truly give something of value to the students, so that they can aspire to do great things for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Navina. That was an awesome, inspiring speech, which will kind of get all the interns up and going on getting started with their programs. Now we have another special person who's part of getting this whole thing up and going, and he's, I think, one of the few people I have to say good morning to today. So I'd like to invite Dr. K. Subramaniam, President, STIMS Institute, to give his views on the internships program. So he's speaking from sunny California. And good morning, Subbu, it's all yours.
Yeah, good morning. You have to unmute Dr. Subbu. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Great, great. Thank you, Nanu, and Professor Babu, and Navina, and Professor Ramamurthy, and everyone else. It's really a unique opportunity for me to say a few words. A lot of people know me as Dr. Subbu, and I wear different hats, so they see me from different perspectives, but nobody really knows who I am. So just a few words about my own background. I grew up in a small village, just like Nanu is now in Madurai, in a small village near Lalgudi in Tiruchi district in Tamil Nadu. I got my bachelor's degree from Usmania University in mechanical engineering. At that time, just visiting a factory was our internship, our opportunity to learn something about the real world. Then I got my PhD from MIT in the United States, specializing in the area of manufacturing processes, and I went on to work in the industry for nearly 4 decades. I've had the opportunity and privilege to train and mentor a large number of people, very young people, all the way to senior managers from everywhere across the globe. Many parts of Europe, Brazil, India, China, Australia, United States, you name it. All of these experiences bring with it a certain common theme. That is, if people do something on their own, with their own hands, very early in their career, and see the results of that effort, their self-confidence grows through the roof. In addition to that, their ability to conceive of new needs and make them happen, which we call innovation, happens almost instinctively. But if on the other hand, we spoon feed people and say, do this, do this, do this, do this, even when they grow to the ripe old age of 60 or 70, they're still waiting to say, what should I do next? So that is a fundamental paradigm we have to change. And this internship, in my opinion, offers a very unique opportunity to make that change. I think this is what was alluded to by Nanu and Navina and Professor Babu and Dr. Ramamurthi in their own experiences. What is the project interns should work on? This brings to an important question to every one of us involved, the students, the mentors, AMTDC, funding agencies like Government of India. Everyone should ask, why should we do this? This program has well thought through answers to all of them, and figure out, it'll take a lot of time. But let us just take one question. Why should Government of India spend money on this? After all, the money is coming from the taxpayers. Large majority of them are poor people. We are using their money to do this internship. So the students should really think about, why should I be paid this internship or this project? And once they begin to think like that, they begin to think, yes, I have to do something useful, something practical, something that has an impact. Same is true for mentors. Here is a very unique opportunity to train and educate the next generation of people. All of us want a better India tomorrow, but the better India for tomorrow starts today by mentoring and growing the young people, and here is an opportunity for us. And this is not a pie in the sky or something in the putting a man on the moon kind of effort. AMTDC itself has had many successful projects where they have taken practical problems required by industries and systematically worked on them to develop solutions. Even to give for the students the assurance, one of the students who started working on the very first project like this 8 years ago at IIT Madras, he worked on it for 1 year or so, did a project, developed a hardware, which became commercialized through an industry. Then he has gone on now to do his PhD, and he finished his PhD thesis last week. So what we are talking about, and this student with whom I've been working for the last 8 years, I might have met him no more than 8 days, 2 hours a day. So the mentoring and mentorship are not necessarily related only to people sitting next to each other, but our minds sitting next to each other wanting to do something useful. So if there is one thing that I would like the students, for many of them listening to this program, leave at the end of this presentation, of this whole hour of presentation, I would say, go with a passion to do something different that you can be proud of and you can show it to someone as useful. Not a certificate from this internship program, not a certificate from your college for a degree, but something you did, something useful that you know it is useful. Then others will also find it useful. Then employers will come to you like honey in the bee's nest. But if you only do something because I had a couple of hours here and there and somebody gave me money, and don't do that. Don't do it on anything, including internship or your college course or whatever. Once you have that passion for making a difference, that is true real life innovation, I'm pretty sure you'll all be on a path to success. That is my wish and prayer, and those are my few comments coming from this side of the globe. Thank you very much, Nano, for the opportunity, and Professor Babu and Navina and Professor Bhaskar Ramamurthi.
Thank you, Subbu. Thank you, Subbu, so much for that. I'd like to ask Professor Ramesh Babu to invite selected people on to talk about their respective projects.
Yeah, we have about 20 odd mentors who have agreed to just come and then help a large number of students. So I just want some of them like Mr. Apparao, who has initially came to us to develop the fruit harvesting machine. And I'm sure that he's around, and I would like him to say a few words about the need to really develop this skill development among the youth in this country. Is there?
Mr.
Yeah. He's there. Yeah. Mr. Apparao, you have to unmute, so that we can unmute. Yeah. Can you? No.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Good evening to you.
Yeah.
Good evening.
So I have first met Professor Ramesh Babu maybe 3-4 months ago when, like he mentioned, that I went to him to develop a robotic harvester, which will be extremely useful to the farming community in India. So I'm a farmer, so that's where I know the difficulties of that. As this involves several aspects of engineering, from computer vision to robotics to a mobile vehicle. So there are multiple technologies involved in this. It's a very complex piece of machinery. So we've been thinking about it. We've been discussing it with Professor Ramesh Babu and his team. And when he suggested to work on this as part of this program, I immediately agreed, because at least that way I'll put young budding engineers into the agricultural economy of our country and make sure some aspects of agriculture will benefit from higher technologies. So I have agreed to mentor people who will be interested in computer vision in detecting fruits or any other object in the agricultural field, and a second segment of those who want to build the robotic side of the harvester of locating the fruit and deciding whether to pluck it or not. So this is the set of group, which is challenge 1 and 2, which is listed in Ramesh Babu's table, is what I've accepted to do, and it will be a pleasure to be associated with the program and transfer knowledge to the next generation. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Yeah, I think another project which came up is from our another group called Conscious Group, wherein we have been regularly meeting on one of the days. Maybe I asked group captain TK Mohan. TK, so I think it's your turn.
Yeah, good morning and good evening to based on where you are. My name is Group Captain Mohan. I worked in Indian Air Force for 26 years. Then later I joined Honeywell and I worked there for 12-13 years in aerospace as a director. Then retired 4 or 5 years back. So myself, along with another colleague, my colleague who is here, Wing Commander Ramaya, we started an institute to train young people. The motivation for that was when we were trying to recruit people for Honeywell, we never could pick up right kind of people from the colleges. And we have to spend a lot of time in the industry to train them internally over the years. So then what we realized is there is a gap between what academic institutions are teaching and what the industry actually wants. So with that, we started an institute for a certain duration. Of course, the COVID took the toll, So on the other hand, when we were talking, one of the days I was talking to Ramesh, then Professor Ramesh said, over a casual talk, we said, okay, we have spent a lot of time in life and the society has given us a lot of comforts and given money. So it's time to give back to the society by nurturing the talent. And while doing that, we should encourage projects or the products we develop, which has a large impact on the people. In a sense, again, as Mr. Paravar has said, we also face, myself and Ramai, we luckily have some farm. We found that a cotton harvester, okay, so 40% of the total cost of production is a cotton harvester. So harvesting the to the manual labor. So it also, we don't get nowadays to even the labor to pick the cotton. So this is one major issue. Similarly, there are many other issues like in terms of in the entire chain of the agriculture, from the plowing to weeding to pesticide spraying to harvesting. There are enough innumerable problems the farmers face unless we change the way they do the farming and support them with the required machinery and the modern technology. I don't think the farming is any more viable. So this is one thought, just one of the comments. So we are very keen to work with other mentors and the industry to make sure these students really work on real-time problems and then find solutions which can impact the society in large and also make for themselves a career. With that, I thank everyone for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Krishna Mohan. I think now I would invite anyone who would like to say anything about the internship, the intent to think that this is the way that we should take it forward. So, I would like, any other mentors who would like to share their views on this internship. So, it was somewhat trying to. May I request anyone who would like to say something to volunteer and then.
Professor Balasubramaniam speaking.
Yes, sir. Yeah, please, sir.
Yeah, recently I got superannuated from Atomic Research Center after 4 decades of working in the area of precision manufacturing. During this time, I was involved in establishing some centers, outreach centers at some part of Maharashtra for transferring the technologies for rural application. What we have found is one of the major thrust required is the regional relevant research actually. See, even though we are talking about machine, it has got so much scope, it can be applied at many places actually. Like earlier speakers have said, see, there should be a product coming out of it actually. People should start, the students, the interns, they should realize the potential they can contribute to the country, contribute to the society. We have enormous problem in the country, and at least some survey says 1 million projects are done every year in the country by engineering students. And if we see the outcome of the projects done by the students, it is minuscule actually. Now this program, this internship program, it gives an avenue for all these people to convert their ideas into useful products which are very much relevant to the country and their own region. Maybe during the course of this internship, I can bring out so many products which I wish to develop actually for societal application, including machine tool application. So my request to the interns are, they should understand what is their potential during the short course of 2 months or 6 month program actually. they should understand they have got tremendous potential. Only they need to take the assistance of the mentors and the AMTDC platform. They can do wonders. We have seen it at so many places. I sincerely request all the students to make use of these platforms, and I will be available throughout, not only for the mentorship, which I am likely to participate. Any student can contact me for any applications or any suggestion. Similarly, I think all other mentors will be available to all other students also. I wish a great success to this program and great initiative taken by Professor Ramesh Babu. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Balasubramanian. I think may I request the other mentors to volunteer if they have something to say to the mentees.
Very good evening. Okay, I'm Professor Rajadurai from MIT campus, Anna University. So I really appreciate this particular scheme. In Anna University, in MIT campus also, we have started a kind of skill development institute under the collaboration of Siemens. With a very heavy amount of investment, we have installed almost 14 different type of laboratories. Completely PLM softwares are being installed, so that the student can train themselves from conceptual design to completely model the thing, design the item, simulate the manufacturing, factory simulation, and until the kind of the end of disposal, they can do the thing. So we have mechatronics lab, automation, all the items are there. That is thrown open not only for the Anna University students, that is also for all the students from affiliated colleges. So more than few thousand number of people have been trained in this skill development institute. We call us a Siemens Center of Excellence. And there again, the culmination that we promote our students to go for a kind of prototyping, any kind of models. So we also facilitate the student to now take up any this kind of startup or innovative projects. We also give some token amount of money and something. So I have seen some of the students they're very capable of converting their idea into a kind of a product, and even few of the people could be able to now do some startup industries, and now they're doing really well. So therefore this is much more focused. So even we have some kind of scattered approach, but this I really appreciate Ramesh Babu and other people involved in this shaping this program. I really feel that this should be much more focused and intense, so that really many more products may come out. So I really wish grand success for this program, and thank you for designing the thing. I am also very proud that I am also going to participate in this. Thank you, Professor Ramesh Babu and others. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rajadurai. So if there are any other views the other mentors would like to express, that I welcome them all. Yes, I think someone,
It is good evening, John from BRA.
Yeah, I think John, we can wait. I think Dilip would like to say something.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry, because I just wanted to put one or two points from the industry perspective. I have been associated with 3 or 4 industries, and I have been looking at the incoming students for working in mechanical industry. I interviewed more than 400 to 450 students, wherein I found the quality of them not up to the mark. Even if we are ready to train them, the attitude is what they are lacking. Now, if this program like this mentoring and building up can help at least build few engineers who can take up a challenging work and develop themselves, I feel it is a real good success and achievement. Because I should not say so, but with a 60 to 70% passing marks in mechanical engineering, BE and BTech, if the engineers cannot tell what is the sin theta cos theta, that's where I felt very sad. And if I am able to help some people to come out, get interested and develop themselves, it will be a real good thing. And I really congratulate Ramesh. The initiative is really good and I appreciate that. And it is a long way to go, but there is no shortcut to success. It has to be done. It has to be done. That's all I just wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kulkarni, for your nice things. Okay, next, let us, Dr. John, I think I just want you to,
Yes, greetings to all. So it is a very nice initiative by AMTDC and Professor Ramesh Babu for taking this internship program. But I would like to say I'm from defense. I'm working for DRDO. And it is good that actually we are facing a lot of issues in developing certain machines which are very difficult to get for our in the defense industry. So those things, those products which can be developed through this AMTDC are with the, actually since the student power is available and all the mentors with a variety of experiences are there, if all come together and address the problem, maybe in a class to class, like mentors to mentors, they can help in the identification and the solving the problem. It will be very useful for the country, and it may be useful for the students also to take it to next level. The projects can be divided into small things, and it can be made into total. Finally, when it made into bigger project, it will be very successful for the country as well as the for the AMTDC. So with these few words, I just want to thank the AMTDC for giving me the opportunity to be in the part of the.
Thank you, Dr. John. Yeah. So, there are any other views? No. So I just want to know. I think Professor GV, I think you want to say something.
Thank you, Professor Ramesh Babu. My name is Venkatratnam. I am a professor at the Department of Mechanical Engineering at IIT Madras, and I am a colleague of Professor Ramesh Babu. I have 30 years of teaching experience in IIT, so I can speak with some experience of having dealt with many interns in the last 30 years. This is for the students. I have had interns for for decades, 3 decades now. Now, my experience with I have also taught in Germany, and I have also had interns in Germany. But I have seen a major difference between, my experience there and my experience here. So, in general, my experience has been that students come with great enthusiasm, but after a week, they are no longer interested. Yeah, they think that, okay, no, why should I put in some time? And, this is too much of work. And I don't know where the enthusiasm goes, but it goes. Most of the people, that's what my experience is. Probably this is because, you're not used to systematically working continuously. Okay, I think most people study for their exams at the last minute, do this jugaad, what we call in India as jugaad. Till the last minute, you don't do anything. Then suddenly, like in any typical Indian wedding, everything falls into place in the last minute. I think when you take up internships or you go to a job in industry, you'll find that this does not really work. And even if it works, it is a very inefficient way of working. So if you want to really make a good use of this opportunity and increase your capabilities and skills and knowledge and so on, then you need to work systematically, and you have to work every week. If you are expected to work this many hours a week, you have to put in that many hours a week. You can't say that I'm going to work at the last minute, suddenly things will fall into place. No, they won't fall into place. Okay, and if you lose your interest, the mentors also will lose their interest. If you don't show up for meetings, you don't do anything for weeks together, then suddenly come and expect the mentors to be available at your convenience. That's not going to happen. So please, understand that unless you are you prioritize your work, you become passionate, and you become systematic, and you do things as they are supposed to be done. I'm not asking for anything more than what you are normally expected to do. Please forget jugad. I think this word is used and abused in India. I think we should stop using this word, stop thinking of jugad as some kind of a great solution. No. Let's do things systematically, and then we will succeed. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Venkatatnam. Any other views from mentors from various places? I think maybe anyone. Yeah, if there are no other views, I'll just give it to Mr. Nanu to.
So what I'll do is maybe I'll give my views as a mentor. I'd like first to thank all the mentors for the views, and especially two things which kind of I remember are one which is the Siemens lab, which I'd like to talk a little bit about, and the second one is Dr. Venkatratnam's note that the jugad thing, which is kind of, I think, a very important aspect which we need to kind of avoid. And the education system in India itself, we need to kind of get students passionate about technologies, and I'm not sure how that is to be addressed, but that's the big difference between students in other parts of the world and in India. Here it's like, when do I get my marks, when do I get my how do I get my job at company A or B, and what do they kind of look for? And it was very fortunate that some of the companies that I have relationships with, the human resources people, they said, we don't just look for people with marks and grades and everything else. Everybody is just a pizza with plain cheese. We look for what kind of toppings they have. So for the students, this is like what you're going to do with this internship is like the toppings that the new recruiters are looking for. How are you different from your peers? So if you have done this project on cotton harvesting, or you kind of worked with the Siemens lab, which I think is like a great opportunity. And I also wish we have like Rockwell a lab and Honeywell lab. And if you get the opportunity to work with all these three labs and mix the data and bring it out to the world, I think people will be running after you. So I think there are great opportunities, and it's up to the students to really jump in and use these opportunities to get to the next level. So with that, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us today. I'd like to actually thank a couple of people from the AMTDC department. First is Mr. R. Srikanth. He's been kind of instrumental in getting lots of these things done. Mr. R. Vairamuthu, and there are a few other people, the whole bunch of people who've kind of been helping Mr. Srikanth and Mr. Vairamuthu behind the scenes. So I'd like to thank all of them. And with that, we look forward to having like a great internship program. And thank you all for joining us. And we look forward to networking with all the interns, all the staff, and all the mentors also. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. I think I just wanted to add a few things before we close the meeting. Though today we have made a start for the program, tomorrow onwards, we have already collected the data from each student that what is the project on which he or she would like to work. We're actually segregating them and then trying to send it to the mentors to have a first level interaction and see whether they really fit into the problem solving. In the sense, unless the matchmaking is done well, probably it may not turn out to be a good project. So I also sincerely urge the students unless you are passionate about it, none of the problems can be solved in a straight way. In the sense, everywhere there is a lot of struggle. Unless you are passionate and take these struggles, so you will not be able to succeed. Whoever has talked today, like either Navina or Nanu or Subbu or many mentors have mentioned that in my own experience of almost 4 decades, after my post graduation from IAC with my friend Dilip Kulkarni, so we have gone a long way to physically work, with the systems and then do something. And everywhere we used to have hundreds and thousands of problems. The first and foremost thing is all these students should accept that whatever may be the problem, they will be able to solve it with the help of mentors, with the help of our own engineers who have. I think hardware development is completely different from the other domains of service. I just wanted to caution each one of them that do not take anything lightly and then say that, as Professor Venkatatnam said, there is no jugaad here. It is an incremental, as the Japanese have told, like a Kaizen and Kanban. So unless you do it, it will not happen. So please be passionate about taking up these problems and then working on this problem rather than shedding away and then saying that this is not the problem that I want. Then it will be impossible for the team to actually bring a mentor versus the mentee relationship. I think we have done our best over the last 2 months, as I said earlier, 16th June and 16th August. So I think beyond this one, I think people also will lose their interest everywhere. I just want the interns to cooperate and then try to look into each and every problem in a deeper way rather than looking at it in a superficial way, saying that I don't have the knowledge, etc. So with these few remarks, I once again thank Nanu, Navina, Subbu, and many other mentors who have expressed their views, basically to enthuse the young students who are going to take up the entire world. They are all the global citizens. Unless they put up their best, I don't think that we can see harmony in the society, and you don't really build the next generation machines and technologies and the world itself. So with this, I would like to thank you all, and especially the mentors. They should keep in touch with our team, which we have already mentioned it. I think they should start interacting proactively rather than reactively. So sometimes what happens is you keep waiting for something. Now we have set the ball rolling, and I want you to be proactive and then try to do something which is going to help you and help the society and help the world as a whole. Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Sir, I think.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks. Bye.
Yeah. Yeah.